Okay, Shad, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
So we're trying something new today, Shad.
Again,
Isn't this cool? First it was a 53-minute Periscope, now 360-degree video. Can you believe this?
There's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
I can never say no.
It's always trouble with
Yes.
me. So here's the deal. Shad and I are going to go for a drive. We are right now at YouTube Space LA. We just charged the car. It's got 55 miles of range, I'd like to point out.
Yep.
55 miles of range.
EV range.
EV range. We are not using any gas.
Right.
If this thing runs out of EV range, we're taking an Uber back. And you're paying for it.
Not that we have to, but that someone's a little bit OCD.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which is a good
thing.
It's fine.
Anyway, so here's the cool thing about this. You guys can move the camera around so you can see all the different camera angles. We got 4 cameras. Well, really, if you think about 360, it's 8 cameras on the car simultaneously. So you can either move your phone around or tablet so they can see all around, like we're going to drive down by the beach.
Yes.
So they can look out to the beach. They can look around and see you more. If they want to see you more, they can look and see me more. They can look to the front.
Right.
It's
tilt left. I'm over here.
Are you ready to rock?
I'm ready.
Okay. Shad. And Shad's going to tell us about the car, and I'm going to tell you about the driving impression. $55 miles of range, right?
55 miles of battery range, and
Battery range.
You can get that by plugging into just a regular household outlet for about 12 to 13 hours.
Yeah.
Or what you did here at YouTube Space LA, plug into a 240 volt charger,
Which
and
I've
it's
been
about
doing.
4 hours for a full charge.
I've got the thing that the one that comes with the car.
Yeah.
I left. So I live. People don't realize this. They see me driving these fancy cars, but I live in a terrible place. So I have to literally fish the wire through the back window of my apartment, and there are bars on the back window. So I got to somehow shoehorn it through the bars so it actually can get through, and I plug it into my wall outlet behind a couch.
It still beats having to stop at a gas station.
I agree.
Yes.
And let's say I get home at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and I run in the morning, so figure I leave around 8.
Yeah.
I still get a full charge on this thing.
That's all that matters. And it's that easy. That easy.
The thing I'm confused about here is the range. I read your releases and some of the tech reviews people did on this car, and they were saying it's 45 or 49 miles range, but every time I charge this thing, it goes to 56.
So here's the deal. We're in Southern California.
Yeah.
It is, most of the time it's in the comfortable 70-degree range.
Yeah.
The battery
although not the past couple of days.
Not the past couple of days. The battery loves to be sitting at about 72 degrees.
Yeah.
So when you charge the battery here, that number that you see on the dash, that is just a prediction that is based on how you previously drove the car and the ambient air temperature, etc. So it is predicting that based on where we are, the temperatures, how you drive, your driving pattern when you first drove the car, it is saying you should probably get 55 miles of range.
So when you say it predicts my driving behavior, I've only been driving the car for a couple of days, does it reset with different drivers?
It's constantly resetting. It's
really?
It monitors the previous driver's driving pattern constantly.
So how long will it take to reset or adjust for a new driver?
It'll adjust immediately. So, for example, if you floor it at the stoplight, that range is going to drop down to maybe 48 because it's thinking.
Oh, so it's per session. It's per driving session it adjusts.
It's real time. Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
It's real time.
That's pretty wild.
It is wild, but the idea is that since you're driving an EV, we want to make sure that you have the most predictable number of range miles, so that you don't get stuck. Because, like you don't want to drive on gasoline at all, so you're hell-bent on making sure that you're only on electrons.
Here's the problem, and they can't see this, and maybe what I'll do, there was a picture on Periscope with this.
Yeah.
If I go to the energy here, and the thing is, this car has done 4,056 miles in its entirety. I've only put probably maybe 150 of that.
Yeah.
This car has not burned a single drop of gas since it left Hamtramck.
That is this trip.
Well, no, isn't that the whole car?
No, that is it resets itself after each charge.
Oh, so you basically have lied to me here. I thought no one put any miles with gas on this thing, so I was so nervous to run this thing on gas. I didn't want to be the first one.
Well, let's continue.
To do this.
Let's continue operating. The number on the left, though, that represents
lifetime MPG.
That's the lifetime MPG. And it's because, we deliver this car to media, to journalists.
Yeah.
And when we do, we want it to be on a full charge.
Yeah.
So we'll use the hold mode to save the battery so that when we give you the keys, you have a full charge.
There is a hold mode.
There is a hold mode, yes.
I don't want to use it, but how do you set up the hold mode?
It's down here, the mode button.
Okay.
And there are several modes.
Oh, I see. The hold.
Right.
So the hold forces it to run in the gas mode.
And that's an important feature for efficiency, because if
That's
you're on
a
the
really good feature.
Yeah, if you're on the highway,
Yeah.
you want to use the generator because the generator is more efficient on the highway. When you're in city streets, you want to use EV range. And this is if your commute is long. This is if you have like an 80-mile commute and you want to get...
So when I told you this story, and who's ever been watching me on Periscope, I was stranded in the valley, which you're in Los Angeles, that's not a good thing to be stranded in the valley.
Well, hold on. Stranded, meaning you ran out of battery.
I ran out of battery, but because I read this 0 miles, 0 gas use thing wrong, I was like sweating bullets that I was going to use gas, and I'd get called by you or somebody like Mark Royce and say, "You're a moron.
No.
We gave you a car that's never run gas, and you're the one that screwed it up."
This is the genius of this car, is that when your battery goes dead, you're not stuck. You have a backup generator.
No, I get that.
I know.
And you know what? In all all joking aside, when people come to me and they want a greeny weeny car, I actually tell them to go this one. And I'm not telling you this because you work for General Motors and you're sitting in the car.
Yeah.
I say this to people because I feel this is the only car, if you really want a greeny weeny car, it's the only one that can fit in today's infrastructure.
I agree.
Like Fiat, matter of fact, when we were back at the space, there was a Fiat.
Right, I saw it, yeah.
Fiat is in this unusual, probably enviable position that it's a super inexpensive EV. And they did a good marketing campaign by saying, here, you buy the car, you lease the car, which I'm against leasing. But if you buy the car or lease the car, we'll give you an enterprise rent-a-car, or whoever does it, for free every year.
Yeah.
Which I think is, okay, it's a great marketing gimmick, but are you really going to go and set up with Enterprise and go to Enterprise what if last minute you and your girl want to go to Las Vegas? That's the thing I like here.
You got to get a Volt.
You got to get a Volt. And we talked about this in the Periscope, that Bolt. Yeah. I don't think you're going to be able to build enough of those.
The Bolt EV.
200 miles of range. I mean, this is cool, and this is, I just want to point out, you guys have asked in the past, who picks out the cars? Well, this is the guy that picked out the color on this car, and I have to take my hat off to him because it transforms the car. The blue with the tan and black, it's so much better.
Yeah, when we ordered cars for California, we said this is the combo that works. It's like we were talking about. It's not something that you would normally pair together if you were just to see the list of options, but to see it in person, it's fancy.
And that's what you don't expect a Volt to be a fancy car. You expect a Volt to be kind of blah looking. Like when I was stranded in the valley, there was a white one with a gray interior. It looked like an Enterprise rent-a-car. It didn't look interesting to me at all. Where this, we missed the light.
So, since we're still in some stop and go, I want to make sure that you are aware of the Regen paddle on your left.
You have been?
Paddle. Okay.
I love this thing.
Yeah.
So now what exactly, I've noticed is a couple of times it works very well.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it doesn't want to work as well.
Well, it adapts to to as long as you hold it. So when you first hold it, it's a switch. Yeah. It's not, there's no
So for you guys,
resistance.
it's like a paddle. It's like a shift paddle like on a Corvette.
Yeah. So when you first engage it, it's not a very abrupt stop. Yeah. As you keep going, it increases the regen and will actually bring the car to a full stop to about 3 miles per hour.
And what situations does it look for where it actually brings it to a full stop?
It doesn't. It brings it to a creep, and then in order to get the car to stop, you have to hit the pedal.
Now, I get that part, but is there a point where it provides more regen, more stopping than in other instances?
It's an on-off switch. Yeah, it increases as the longer you hold it.
Got it. I have been playing around with this thing in my neighborhood.
It's fun.
I like it.
Imagine that it's something that you would use when you're going downhill and you wanted to downshift in a manual transmission. Yeah. That is when you would engage it, or just in stop and go like this.
Now, you going to have that on the Bolt? I don't remember if the Bolt had it.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't the one we drove.
I think it was.
It was, and I obviously didn't play around with it too much. I did squeal the tires in that thing a couple times, which you guys yelled at us for.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? Let's put our foot into this thing. It's got 52 miles of range. I gotta tell you, it's got, if we're really, I'm foot to the floor, and a cop just passed us back there, and it's pretty quick.
Yeah, it is quick. This is one of the big improvements over the first gen Volt is the car's much lighter.
Yeah.
We have an entirely different electric drive unit in here that gets the 0 to 30 and 0 to 60 substantially quicker. We did that in about 8.4
So translated to a totally different motor, electric motor.
Completely different than what we had in Gen 1, yes.
So now I want to clarify something here. The Gen 1, and you and I, Shad and I go a long way back. We go back 6-7 years. we had a discussion about that whole the Planetary gear set.
Yep.
So let's clarify to everybody, what is the Planetary gear set and what does it do here?
Okay, so when you're running on electricity, so when you have charge in the battery, that's all you ever use is electricity to move the car. When the battery is dead and the generator comes on, there are times when instead of the generator doing nothing but creating electricity, we use the Planetary gear set to connect the engine to the electric drive unit so that it could add more torque. And the only reason we do this is so that it's a more efficient way to drive the car.
So like you were saying on the freeway.
Basically, instead of creating electricity to power the battery to power the car, we're saying it'll be more fuel efficient, since we're on gas, to connect it directly to the traction motor instead of charging the battery to power the car.
Okay. So, but I can still have the choice of running on an EV like I did with that trip back from the valley.
Yes.
I didn't use the whole boat specifically because I didn't want to burn gas.
Right. So what I just described, that complicated Planetary gear set conversation, that only occurs when the battery is dead.
Okay.
So when you're in electricity, that doesn't happen. It's always running on electricity. The generator is not providing torque.
Okay, so speaking of electricity and green, I want to welcome you to Playa Vista here. Actually, no, this is Playa del Rey. What am I saying? We just left Playa Vista. We are now in Playa del Rey. So now we're getting to where the ocean is here.
I love it here.
So we're going to get to the more scenic route. It is a nice little spot, isn't it?
It is.
Have you ever been to the Shack Burger here?
I actually have.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a...
Ooh, I've definitely been there.
I had a funny... So this is totally different than a Volt and somewhat off topic. I took a date out, and this one I had a Lamborghini Gallardo. And, you know, I like driving cool cars. So do you.
Oh, yeah.
You have cool cars.
Yes.
And this man has a racing license and competed in racing, so he can appreciate this. So I was there, and it's a small, dumpy little, as you can see here, it's a shack in Playa del Rey. So I'm there with my date, and it was night. And you hear over the loudspeaker, that's how they announced to come pick up your burger. Will the guy in the Lamborghini go back out to his Lamborghini because you left the lights on in your Lamborghini?
Oh, I love it.
Full rush dinner hour.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking around like, who is this jackass that drives a Lamborghini to the shack?
You kind of deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. And everybody's looking at my date like, what are you doing, this jackass?
Oh, no.
Anyway, back to the beach. Okay, so we were on, which part we were on here?
We were talking about the electric motors. So, in this car, the electric motors, they're 100 pounds lighter than what was in the first-gen car. And weight is key for EVs. That is what gets you the range. First-gen car got 37 miles of EV range. This one gets 53, as rated by the EPA.
Oh, so 56 that I'm getting is not that much higher, but it's a little bit higher.
Correct, than what the EPA says you should expect. So moving that mass out of the car allows us to get the range, but it also, the efficiencies that we gained by using the two new electric motors that work in tandem, it gives you that torque right off the start. First gen, there was a primary motor that did most of the heavy lifting for the car, with a backup that came into play when you needed demand. In this generation, it's been completely redesigned so that the two motors work in tandem more often. So in many more driving scenarios, they are both working. That allows us to increase efficiency by about 19%. Not
19% from the previous car.
Correct, from the previous car, yeah. So that is where we get part of the more range from the battery, the lightweighting of the unit, because it's 100 pounds lighter, even though there are two motors. And that is one of the key components that really improve the efficiency overall for this car over Gen 1.
So the two motors are in one unit, or they're separate?
They're two separate motors contained in the drive unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And isn't one motor, it's like, it's not a traditional electric motor, isn't it like a, I don't know what they even call it. It's like I remember the description from the last motor. It wasn't the same as the regular electric motor that does most of the heavy lifting here.
No, I mean, they're not traditional in any sense. I mean, they're primary traction motors that move the car. So, and then they have the ability to reverse the power flow when you use your Regen. So that when you're driving the car, power is going out to the wheels. When you use Regen, it immediately switches and becomes an alternator back to the big battery.
So, okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is one of them like an alternator, and then the big one is an actual traditional motor?
They're both alternators.
Oh, they're both alternators?
They're both, yeah.
Okay, but in the previous one, they were different, weren't
they? Well, they were different. There was a primary, a larger one unit that carried most of the load. and it just wasn't as efficient as these two smaller motors are.
Okay, so now I get it. So now you went to the alternator type motor for both motors.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
clarification. So if we want to use the Regen, I'm using the panel here so I don't hit this RV in front of us before we get to the power station. It's funny, we're on an EV and we're driving past the power station.
Nice.
Oh, do you remember back? This is actually the first time I met this guy. Remember when you gave me that hydrogen Equinox?
Yeah.
We shot it here.
Another electric car.
Yeah. We thought it would be cool. Like, hey, let's shoot it in front of the power station.
Yeah, I do remember.
You guys got to go back and check out that. It was a fun episode. What else is different from the previous gen to this gen car?
A lot of basics. So one of the unique things about Gen 2 is that it really was designed and engineered almost entirely from feedback of the customers of the first gen car. So the first...
I gotta believe those people are really into this shit.
Like you wouldn't believe. And it's fantastic. We hear from them a lot. We monitor the forums a lot. And frankly, you remember the first gen car compared to this car. This is substantially better than what the car
just
that replaced.
Just from like a usability. Like,
yeah.
It's bigger. Like, I don't feel as claustrophobic.
Right.
You can put someone in the back seat, although there isn't as much leg room, and it feels like it's screwed together better.
Yeah, it is. It is. So the infotainment center here, which people can't see, but trust me, it's much easier to use and navigate. It's very intuitive.
Yeah.
It's not as outlandish as the first gen might have felt.
I agree.
Yeah.
Isn't it what you're using in Chevy across the line?
And that was deliberate. Let's keep it consistent across the brand
Very
so that there's no surprises.
Love that you have Apple CarPlay here.
Apple CarPlay is genius.
That is, I think, changes the world.
I do too.
By the way, one of the things that I have so much fun with is I send horrible text messages to my friends. Like, I try to get it to curse. I get it to say these horrible...
Oh, and she'll say it.
She'll say it.
Yeah.
We did a Periscope yesterday.
She's a dirty bird.
And I have her set up as British. Like,
so do I.
Okay, to whom?
Shad Balch.
What do you want to say to Shad Balch?
You are a jackass and know nothing about EV cars. She's thinking.
Your message is, you're a jackass and know nothing about EV cars. Ready to send it?
Send.
I don't understand and ignore. Your message says, you're a jackass and know nothing about EV cars. Ready to send it?
Send.
Done.
Lovely. Nothing like having your EV tell you know nothing
Oh,
about
we're getting a
EVs.
message from Bob Boniface,
Oh, wow.
chief designer of Cadillac. Let's see what he has to
That's
say.
timely.
Very timely.
Bob said, wish I could, but I have to give the dealer presentation since it's the whole brand. Want to reply?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You are on camera right now, literally, and everyone is angry that you're not going to be on the XT5 episode.
Hey, Bob. You're in the Volt right now.
Let's see if she gets that.
You're replying. You're on camera right now, literally, and everyone is angry that you're not gonna be on the XT5 episode. Hey, Bob, you're in the Vault right now. Ready to send it?
Send.
Okay, I'll send it.
Okay, I have done tons of CarPlay episodes, like in Ferraris, Hyundais, now Chevy. Actually, did it in your Camaro. It's never done two voices like that.
That's amazing.
Okay, now back to the Vault now that we've spoken to Cadillac.
I forgot where we were.
Oh, we were talking about...
what we've done, the changes we
Yeah,
made.
the changes from the previous car. How we said it's now a real car.
It's
not
a real
like
car.
A science experiment.
Yeah, and like I said, we gave the first customers almost a seat at the table while we were designing and engineering this car. So it's things like they wanted to be able to have a light at the charge port. They wanted so that you could see it at night when you're plugging in the car.
Oh, over there, okay.
Yeah. They wanted the 5th seat belt. So, I mean, it's not an ideal seat, but if you had to, you could put 5 people in the car
could, yeah.
and strap them in. It's lighter. They wanted that 50-mile range. We gave them 53.
How much lighter is it?
400 pounds lighter.
That's... Okay, what was the previous car?
It was close to 4,000 pounds.
So 10%, that's pretty sizable.
It's huge.
So, okay, now it's good timing that Bob texted us because Did you know what they did with the CT6 with all the lightweighting in
Oh,
that car?
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Again, not because you're from GM. That is pretty incredible.
I'll tell you, that is where the technology lies. When you want to improve fuel economy and efficiency in vehicles,
yeah.
put them on a diet.
Well, you know I'm a Lotus guy, so I've known that for years.
Yes.
But I think that CT6, yes, it's important for Cadillac. I think that's the future of General Motors right there.
The guy, I mean, I work with geniuses in Detroit, and they actually had to invent some welding techniques to put aluminum to steel and melt it together.
Oh, they were telling me about it.
Yeah, that's what it is. You couldn't do that before. You'd have to rivet and have all these, things that just added weight.
So did the learning on that project make it to this, or is that going to be in the next gen?
No, it's a lot of it is here.
Really?
And it's even on Corvette. I mean, you look at the all aluminum frame of the Corvette in places where we needed steel.
Talk about geniuses. Taj, man, he's
Yeah. We've been using that welding system for a minute, and like I said, that's how you get efficiency out of cars, is like putting them on a diet.
Let me just interject. We're now in downtown Manhattan Beach here, so you guys can see the pier there. A little side note, I don't know if you know aware of this, but there is a Christmas church service on that pier on New Year's Eve every year.
Really?
So not exactly the white Christmas, but like right on the ocean, and you get to sing Christmas carols with 500 of your closest friends.
Listen, I refuse to go anywhere for Christmas because there's nothing like shorts at Christmas time.
I agree with you on that. Although I'm from New York, I do miss that a little bit. BMW I300 is just killed this year. Where are you originally from?
Northern California.
So you're from California?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so much. So, any of that lightweighting, like for what they did in the CT6, was take, like in the front, they took 35 parts and made it one casting.
Yep.
When the back, it's 20 parts made it one casting. Is that here as well?
Yes, significant improvements on using fewer components. Like the whole side panel here is not the exterior, but on the interior side, it's all one big panel.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's the casting.
It is the casting.
So some of that learning from the CT6 made it then.
Oh yeah. I mean, both cars were in engineering and development simultaneously. They just came out a little bit different times, but we've been working on lightweighting for quite a long time.
You guys have, definitely. Definitely with the Corvette. And I think, what other projects before the Corvette were you doing with lightweighting?
Even first gen Volt. I mean, we were using technologies on first gen Volt.
You know what I just realized?
Huh.
Bob Boniface, it was his sketch that became the first gen Volt.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was Bob. Well, yeah, you could say it's Bob's car, but it was his sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran that team.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
that.
like it's all in the family right now.
It's all in the family.
Totally did not set that up. Because obviously you could tell he was talking about something else.
Yeah, it just popped up.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the changes, some of the pieces that are here.
Yeah, so the range. They wanted 50 miles of range. We gave them 53. They wanted better fuel economy when the battery's dead and you're running on the generator.
Yeah.
So we bumped that up to 43 miles per gallon.
Is that because of lightweight, or did you do something different with the generator?
Yeah, we totally redesigned the 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine under the hood. So it's almost purpose built for what it is used for in the Volt.
Is it a totally new engine or just a revised engine?
It's a totally new engine, 1.5 liter. Yeah.
What was it?
Aluminum
It was a
head, aluminum
1.4,
block.
The last one.
1.4 liter, yeah. And it required premium fuel. That was another point that the owners wanted. Don't make us buy premium fuel for the generator.
Does it change the output, the horsepower, or anything like that?
It did, but the smaller motor ran at higher RPMs,
Yeah.
so it needed the higher octane just to deal with itself. This one is a little bit less, about 100 horsepower, maximum 5,600 RPM.
I would love to give you guys some driving impressions of the gas motor, but I refuse to. I have said to myself I cannot burn gas in this car this entire week.
The part that's hard to describe, that you can't learn until you drive an EV, is just the smoothness, and even in stop-and-go traffic. You don't have any jerking or vibration.
No, you don't. And this episode, I wanted to do that. Like I thought about taking it out to the canyons, but that's not what this car is about.
Exactly.
I wanted to do this in town, and this is a great. Now, guys, we're getting into Hermosa Beach here, and for those of you when this Beach Cities Transit bus moves away, you will see there is a great Tex-Mex place here called El Gringo. There's one here, and there's one in Manhattan Beach. You can see it there. You can sit on the roof here, Shad. They actually have a roof deck, and you can overlook the ocean while you're having. They get this great thing called a solchi soup.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a chicken rice soup with like vegetables in it.
Those places are magical.
It's
I love
amazing, and you get a great view of the ocean. And this is one of the reasons why you live in California.
It is. It sure is.
Anyway, back to the car.
So mostly it was just about efficiency for the car. and little things like where the charger is kept in the car. Instead of being under the rear deck lid, it's off to the side, so you don't have to unload your trunk to get to it.
Is it a smaller charger?
It's smaller, it's redesigned, it's easier to use, so for situations like you experience at home, it makes it possible to do that.
And so I know it's I put the thing on charge and just let it go overnight. How long will it take on a level 1 as opposed to level 2?
Level 1, it takes about 13 hours for a full charge.
Oh, wasn't that long?
Yeah, level 2 is about 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, why no CHAdeMO in these cars?
Well, that's fast charging.
Yeah.
And that's a couple reasons. I mean, it's just not necessary. See, that's a fast blast. And it puts a lot of strain on the battery.
Yeah.
For a pure EV, it makes more sense. But for the driving patterns of people who live with an EV like you do, or like we would here in LA, there's just no need for it. It's a very expensive proposition too, and it takes its toll on the battery. Anytime you burst that much energy into a battery and then spend it very quickly, you're really putting a strain on the battery.
To be honest with you, I'd like that fast charging.
Well,
there is a CHAdeMO not far from the space there, and the idea of having it charged in 20 minutes, or like when I was stranded in the valley, that would have been nice to have. But you're telling me that it would tear up the battery.
Well, I'm not telling you it would tear up the battery. It adds more strain to the battery.
Yeah.
But that's also why we put the engine generator under the hood. Because we're giving you... Welcome to LA.
Okay. The guy just comes right out and doesn't even look. Thank you.
In a taco truck. What do you expect? Says enough.
Okay, so we were saying, there's a place for rent there if you want to move down to. So we're in, by the way, we are in Redondo Beach now. We have crossed over from Hermosa, and we're going to get it. Actually, no, we haven't crossed over just yet. We're still in Hermosa, but at the end of the street here, right at this light, we're going to cross over into Redondo Beach.
I love it. I mean, there's such good people and car watching right on down this street.
There are some, I got to tell you, there are some nice people in the South Bay. It's very different than West Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's for sure. And this is EV territory.
Trying this Regen thing here. It's almost to a full stop. Like we're crawling, like you said. We're doing 5, 4. Actually, we are coming to a stop. Although, yeah, it is crawling. It's 2 miles an hour.
It'll creep you.
That's really slow.
Mm-hmm.
And just for the avoidance of doubt, the brake lights will not come on.
They will come on.
Oh, they do come on?
Yeah, they do come on when you use the paddle.
Okay, because I was wondering if people would slam into me as I use this thing.
Yeah, it comes on.
So let's try this again. Let's put our foot into this thing. I gotta tell you that this thing is actually downright fun to drive. Like the thing I was kind of getting to before we had the camera issues. You guys built up the hype on the first Volt.
Right. I
would think too much. Like you showed it in 2007. You traipsed it around for 3 years. You made a huge big stink about it, and then I'll admit, I went into it thinking, man, this thing's got to be really something else. Actually, let's turn here. This thing's really got to be something else. But then I drove it, and I was kind of surprised how good it was. That it was actually fun to drive.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that's amazing about EVs. For not only the power and performance from the electric motors, because you get torque at 0 RPM, max torque at 0 RPM, but we have this big 400-pound battery sitting between us that we get to situate in the car in the most perfect position. So it is low, it distributes the weight so it's almost near perfect weight balance.
Yeah.
So you mentioned not taking mountain roads on this, but it's fun to do because the car is planted. Because
in EV mode, yeah, it would be fun.
In EV mode,
I think with the generator mode, you get that feeling, and I honestly have not driven this car in generator mode. You feel like it's like a transmission's that's slipping when you're driving it. So I think in the canyons it wouldn't be as fun in generator mode, but definitely like if there is actually is it sport mode?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a sport mode. I think maybe in sport mode, in the canyons, just on full EV, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you drive there on hold, so you just use the generator and then use your EV for nothing but canyons and then gas it on the way back.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll put some dubs on this thing.
Something.
You know, slam it on bags.
You'd be surprised at what we've seen some of the owners do.
Have you seen something as foolish as that?
Well, no, we've seen some pretty creative paint schemes on the cars. I mean, it's funny, you know, we want to be more mainstream with the design of this car. That was one of the points of feedback we got from customers.
I mean, it looks like a Chevy now.
It looks like a Chevy. It fits in. It looks like a high volume car would look. But there are the diehard EV owners who want to make sure that as they're driving their car, people know that they are driving an EV.
So what does it say, EV all over?
Oh yeah, electrons and the vanity
really?
plates that we see
It's
are
crazy.
hilarious. Yeah,
Oh, I have a bone to pick with you, and I'm pissed off about this.
sunroof.
Yeah. Why the hell no sunroof, man? Stop
I could go
with this.
I could go into the engineering
I
reasons
don't wanna
behind it,
hear
but
the
you don't want to hear
engineering
it.
bullshit. Give me a sunroof. If I want to spend 5 miles of range because I want to have the roof open, let me do that.
Yeah.
Give me the choice. Like, believe it or not, we have not shot a Tesla on the show. A friend of mine has a Tesla. He drives all over the country with it. He made the conscious decision to get the dumpy looking wheels because he wants the range.
Mm-hmm.
But they give you the choice to get the cool looking wheels, the 18s, whatever they are, the 19s.
Yeah.
And they will flat out tell you it lowers the range. But they look cool.
They look cool.
And it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
It's going to lower the range.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at
Like,
all.
Here's my impression, my driving impression, and this is the honest to goodness truth. I would totally daily this car, with the exception of one problem.
The sunroof.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this color, like as we sit, I love the color combo you picked and everything, but you got to give me like a sunroof, or at least make it glass.
Yeah. You're in California. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do like the Mercedes S65 trick, the magic control thing, the magic sky control, where it has the opacity control in the glass. Maybe do
Yeah.
that. At least give me that.
Well, I know you don't want to hear it, but these guys might want to hear it.
They don't want to hear it too. They're pissed off as well.
Well,
Matter of
but
fact,
let me just give the what you get by not having a sunroof.
Okay.
The tactical things you get
Don't
are.
let anybody tell you I'm not fair about this.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
When you have a piece of glass here, that lets sunlight in.
Yeah.
Now, this car is specifically engineered so that it uses the most efficient way possible to cool the cabin.
Okay.
Okay? If we just make it a greenhouse, an actual functioning greenhouse, it's going to take much more of your battery range to cool down the cabin. That is a
Okay.
huge depleter of the battery, is
Okay.
the climate control. 1. 2, aerodynamics is everything. Every nook and cranny, the way their side view mirrors are situated, the shutters in the front that open and close based
Yeah.
on your speed, all of that is designed to make this car slip through the air.
The previous car have shutters?
No, it did not.
Didn't have shutters.
It
That's
did not.
here. Okay.
So,
You did that on the Eco Cruise.
Cruise
first.
Eco, yeah.
That was a good car.
yeah, it still
Stick,
is.
man, that was a good car.
Yeah. If I gave you a pop-up sunroof, all of a sudden you're messing up my wind tunnel.
Okay.
I know, but you're not sliding through the air as quickly as you could be. That also depletes your range. So those two primary things are, and the added weight of the mechanisms to have the glass and the electric motors to move that piece of glass.
Okay, so you guys at one point owned Saab. Why don't you go and pilfer the old school Saab sunroof technology? It was a piece of metal. It didn't even have electric. You had this there was a handle. You would push the handle back and just move it back yourself. Problem solved. You get everything. You get the sunroof, you get the no weight penalty, and I don't complain because I actually have something that opens.
I live for it, but I'm afraid that we get. Look at the amount of complaints we get. Well, you don't know, but we get a lot of complaints about using a mechanical lever to slide the seat back and forward as opposed to electric. And again, it's for the efficiency thing. I don't want to carry an electric motor to move your booty around.
That one, I'm not mad at you on that one.
But people would be if all of a sudden they got to crank their sunroof open.
Do you get people complaining about no power seats? In this
Yes.
thing? Really?
They say I
like
pay
a lot of
30,000
people.
Yes. But they don't know. They don't. It's not that we're being cheap. It's that we're being efficient.
I think people are buying this. To me, you're buying this car because you're buying. It's like buying it by the ounce. It's like going and getting boar's head at a deli in New York. You buy that kind of meat by the ounce. You go to like Tad Steaks, which used to be in Times Square, a terrible place. You get a full-on 13-ounce steak for like $2.95 because it's terrible. This is you're buying technology here.
Yes.
That's what you're paying $35,000 for.
I agree. And it's interesting because a lot of the first gen customers were new customers. We had people get out of their BMWs, Mercedes, their Audis, even their Lamborghinis to get into the Volt.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a problem going to the shack with a date in this.
No, it'd be just fine. And so they were it makes sense that customer would ask those kinds of questions. Why don't I have electric seats?
So you know what that tells me? It tells me you have gotten past the people who are the early adopters who gotta have an electric car,
We're very close. The low-hanging
And
fruit
now
is
it's
now
the person like me
Yeah.
that like I don't gotta have an electric car, but I actually would like to own this if it had a
Correct.
sunroof.
Yeah, if it had a sunroof. We need to do a MotoMan edition of the Volt so that you can have your sunroof.
You do actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to do a MotoMan edition of. Well, actually, you do a MotoMan edition of the Chevy SS, which I paid a $360 speeding ticket on, with the manual already. But you know what?
I'm not going to apologize for that.
You don't
That car, you drove the car the way it was designed to be driven.
I did, and then I got a travel visa from the Los Angeles County Sheriff.
So be it.
But that one didn't have a sunroof, and that is your fault because you're the one that specs the cars. You could have gotten me a sunroof on that car.
Actually, on that car's such in high demand, I didn't have many options.
Really?
They said, this is what we got. I said, I'll take
Do you
it.
sell a lot of those cars?
No, but we don't build a lot of them.
Oh yeah.
You know, that car is all based on the NASCAR program. It is the car that we enter
Now,
into
will
the
that
races.
car go away when Holden goes away? Or are you guys going to take it in-house and have, like, Al do something?
I'm trying to think of what I can talk about on that car. I don't think we're there yet. I mean, there's obviously going to be something that we have to allow us to compete in NASCAR.
Yeah.
So what the next generation or iteration of that is what would be the SS.
Okay, so basically you can't tell us that.
Right.
Okay, so let's get back to the Volt. What else haven't you told us yet? Besides, we've played around with horrible things it can say on text. Android Auto. Are you doing Android Auto these things?
We are. So when that finally happens, we'll be able to do an over-the-air update to the car so that Android Auto is compatible. Yeah.
And will it, like, let's say you have a house divided. Let's say, like, my girl has Android and I've got iOS. Can it live with both?
Both, yeah.
Very cool.
But that brings up another topic about this car is Apple CarPlay and just some of the other technology. This has GPS location-based charging. So by that I mean this. When you plug your car into a regular household outlet in your garage, the car defaults to charge at 8 amps. Because we don't know your electrical situation, we don't want to overload your house. However, that is a slower charge, and you have to manually go in and change it. You used to have to manually go in and change it to charge at 12 amps.
You can manually change it here in the car.
You have to, yes, or on your app. What location-based charging does is allows you to set the car to know that when you get home to readjust everything to those settings. So that the car will automatically change from 8 amps to a 12 amp charge every time you get home. It'll also know your settings. If you want to start charging at 8 p.m. because that's when your electricity rates drop, it'll start doing it then.
And that's new here. So
That
I
is new
can
with this
set
car.
this up in this settings or energy.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Another technology question. I noticed this has the hole in the dash for the collision avoidance warning.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of questions on Periscope about this. Why no head-up display on this car?
It's not necessary. I mean, that's certainly mostly it's a performance feature.
Yeah.
So the way that this car is meant to be driven, it is more economic focused, right? So I don't think you need to have your G rating up on the windshield like you would in a Corvette.
This is where I'm going to disagree with you,
Yeah,
my
of course.
friend. Okay, so in the MotoMan edition, so we're going to do manual seats.
Okay.
We're going to do a sunroof, and we're going to do the head-up display. Because where I disagree with you is, and it's not just because I want the sunroof, it's because I want safety.
Okay.
Like if we're driving, and if the speedometer is here at my eye level, I'm looking straight through the windshield. And now, granted, you and I have racing licenses. That's how we've been taught to drive.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love for, like, the yummy mommy who's driving this car, for her to be looking through the windshield as well. And I think a head-up display gets more people have their eyes looking in the right direction.
Hey, man, we can give it to you, but you got to pay for it.
I don't think it would be a lot of money because you guys already do it in so many cars.
How many things have you already listed out that you don't think cost any money? You're going to make my $30,000 car $40,000 car.
Let's say that the head-up display probably costs you $100. Okay, as a sunroof, I'll admit it probably costs you about $400 or $500. I'll give you an extra $1,000 for both. How about that?
But when the engineers are tasked with justifying every penny into this car, the must-haves outweigh the nice-to-haves.
What about, like, what do they call this? Is this this is on an LTZ? What do they call this?
Premium.
Trim? This is a premium trim level. So what's the grade walk in this car?
Quite a few things. So the interior, the leather interior, a lot of the safety features like lane departure warning, lane keep assist, which actually brings the car back to the center if you're out.
I noticed. I've used that a couple of times.
Parallel parking. It has parallel self-parking, so you drive by a spot.
This one does?
It does, yeah.
I haven't even tried that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
We should try that. Let's go find a place.
The collision avoidance setup.
Okay.
which
yeah,
is the
switches.
red light that flashes.
Thing and, yeah.
The GPS location-based charging,
Okay.
the nav system, which you don't need if you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay.
Now, can you get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay without the nav?
Yes.
Oh, so you can completely separate it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very good choice. I think we should try the self-parking thing. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's, what do we got here? You know what, we'll go...
So it's got to be a parallel situation.
Parallel parking,
It does
okay.
perpendicular too, but I haven't tried it.
let's go, you know what, we're going to go farther up here. We're back in Manhattan Beach. So we're back in, like, the center of Manhattan Beach here. So let's go on the other side of Manhattan Beach, and let's go find a place that we can do this parking business. Hopefully we have enough battery in this camera to do it. I'm a little nervous at this thing running out on us just in time, and we've got to do this.
Yeah.
Someone's picking up a penny right in front of us. Look at that. Penny found with its head up is good luck.
Is it?
Yeah, well, that's what she says. Turn. Simsies. I highly suggest Simsies. They have good burgers there, and they have a good selection of beers. Not that we're going to drink with our car here, but Simsies, and they just put one in Venice too.
Sure sounds good.
Yeah. The Kettle is like a Manhattan Beach institution. I mean, is the food really great? No, but it's one of these, like, it's been there for years and it's 24 hours.
You're going to experience it.
It's an experience,
Yeah.
yes.
Makes sense.
Look at the Teslas, actually. He's just chilling. Oh, he was going to let us go through. So he wasn't paying attention because he doesn't have a head-up display.
Is that what happened?
That's what happened. Okay, we got, you know what, let's do it here. How do we do it?
So you got to go back and then walk, and then
We got to find it.
before you pass
Okay.
it, you have to turn on the
Okay,
sensor.
so this is the sensor.
Yeah,
So I'm switching on the sensor here.
you're going a little bit too fast.
Okay, let's find a spot. So how about, let's do this. Oh, no, we can't do that one. Oh, there's one right here.
Right here. So turn it on.
It's on, right?
Okay, searching for spot. Stop. It says stop.
Stop, okay.
And then just do what it says. Back up slowly. So put it in reverse. Auto steering. I think you went too fast.
Too fast,
Yeah.
okay.
So turn it on again.
On again.
Searching for spot. Searching for spot. Just keep doing what it says. That wasn't a spot.
That wasn't a spot. Doesn't think it's a spot. Okay, we got to go farther.
That
up.
stop.
Oh, I missed it. We'll go to the next one. Okay, maximum speed is 18 miles an hour, just so we know. It just yelled at us.
Yeah. It's still searching.
Okay, so we're going to find a spot here. This guy behind us in the Chevy pickup's going to be mad as hell because he's going to see this. This is going to be tough because there's not that many spots here in Manhattan Beach. Deactivated. Maybe it doesn't, but does it read the parking regulations of the markings on the street?
It reads the space.
Just the space, so we may be able to do this then.
Yeah.
So let's do this. Let's put the thing on. Searching for spot. Just looking for a spot.
And it'll actually take you past it. Now
Okay,
stop.
stop. Okay, I stopped. Now it's telling me
Back up
to
slowly.
slowly.
Let off your wheel. Back up slowly. Keep going.
There's a guy right behind me. Oh, we're doing it. It's doing it. It's almost going to hit this Jeep. But
It
it's
won't.
doing
It
Are
won't.
you sure about
Oh
that?
yeah.
The camera almost hit the Jeep. Oh my
Keep going.
god. Dude, I almost lost a camera. She's not happy with me.
She's in a Jeep.
Okay.
Back up slowly and stop.
Stop.
And you're parked.
And we're parked.
You're
Granted,
parked.
We
Yeah.
are blocking an intersection with a waste truck coming at us, but it parked itself.
It did what you told it to do.
Yeah, and we almost lost the camera, but that probably is going to be very interesting footage. I hope that camera didn't lose battery. Always fun with you, Shad.
Always.
Okay, so what else? Now that we've determined that it works quite well, what else do we got?
That's pretty much it. I mean, we went through the list.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I've been driving this thing for now, I want to say 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
I still got some time left on it. I already said to you, the highest praise that someone like me could give you.
Sure.
A guy who likes cars built in a shed in the southeast of England that leave you on the side of the road at least once a year, I would totally daily this.
That's a good get right there.
And I'm not making it up because you are sitting here. I'm telling you this because you need to give me one with a sunroof. That's the only way I would daily this car.
Well, I know who to call for the sunroof.
Please do.
I will
Alex?
do my best to make that happen.
Okay. We're going to make the
For sure.
MotoMan edition with the sunroof and the head-up display.
The head-up display.
So what I think we should do, so we've covered a lot here.
Yeah.
And I think what we need to do is we need to leave a couple of questions for the audience because putting all joking aside, I totally would daily this car.
Sure.
I have been pleasantly surprised by a couple of things. I knew how the driving dynamics would be because I drove the other one pretty extensively.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a surprise to me. Although I will say the weight distribution even's a little lower on this car.
Mm-hmm.
So that has improved it for me. But really, I think the big change here is the overall build quality, and it's more of a real car.
It's so refined.
I don't know if I'd go refined. It's like you can use it every day.
Well, yeah.
It's refined in terms of build quality, sure.
But even the electric drive experience, like we haven't experienced the range extender yet.
Yeah.
But when it does, you won't
refuse.
hear it.
I can't do it.
And you won't even know that it happens.
I'll get a different one from you with the dud that someone else broke, and I can't do it.
But that integration
Yeah.
of the two systems is remarkable in terms of the improvement from the first gen.
You definitely don't feel the handoff between the two.
No,
You
not at
definitely
all.
in the previous one you didn't feel the handoff. But the difference that I see here, and this was I think the best description I can give you in terms of usable, I had a buddy of mine, or have a buddy of mine. He's got two kids. I want to say, a 5-year-old and I think a 13-year-old. And he genuinely, he's always has to buy American cars. And I was like, get a Volt. He drives only around Venice. Doesn't go anywhere. Get a Volt.
It's perfect.
And he was excited. So we went to look at it, and he's 6'2", 6'3". He's not the most svelte guy in the world, but not super fat. But he couldn't fit in the car, and he didn't feel with two kids it was a realistic car to own.
The first gen or
the first gen?
Yeah.
So then, of course, I'm from New York, got to prove something to everybody. So I get this thing, and I go over to his house, and I said, let's go for dinner. And I had him in the car with the kids, and he's like, actually, I would buy this now.
Wow.
Where before he wouldn't have bought it. He actually bought a Buick, actually.
I'll take them both.
Yeah, he got a Buick.
It's a sale.
I laugh at him, but he bought a Buick.
Nice.
So that's, I think, the big change here.
Yeah.
A guy like that, with two kids, would seriously buy this thing now.
Good.
So with that, I think we need to leave the audience some questions here.
Okay.
We always leave a question for the audience. So I think we need, in this case, a couple of questions. Number one is very simple. Do you want a sunroof? Okay. No,
Well, when you
am I the only one?
No, the question is, because you're push-pulling right now, the question is, would you compromise range for a sunroof?
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Would you compromise range for a sunroof? Thanks to my legal counsel here. That's question number one. And
Yeah.
I think question number two is, would you pay a little extra for things like a head-up display? Do we even include the electric seats? Because I don't think, I wouldn't push the electric seats in this car.
A lot of people ask about it.
Okay, so would you pay extra for the head-up display and electric seats?
Sure.
And then a bonus question, what do you want to ask the audience to get feedback? And oh, by the way, how can they reach you? How can they get in contact with you directly?
So they can the best way to contact me is over Twitter. It's at Shad Balch. That's at ShadBalch.
So if they have questions about this car or even about other GM cars, they can hit you up directly.
And I hear from your viewers all the time.
Yeah, because of the Bolt.
Yeah.
We did the Bolt thing. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you guys got to go. If you haven't seen that episode, you probably have if you're watching this long. But if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you watch it because we got to drive the thing. We went through the tech. We saw a bit of this car naked, actually.
Yeah, we did. Cutaway.
Yeah, it was cool. So what question do you want the audience to answer for you?
My question is, what do customers think their ideal battery range should be in order to get them to give up a gas-powered car and buy electric? What is that sweet spot?
Okay. Now, the caveat I'm going to be is be realistic. Don't, come back to Shad and say 500 miles.
Right.
But realistic.
Now, and also realizing that an EV is not for everybody. A lot of people want a car that'll take them from here to San Francisco, so they need something outlandish. But for a daily driver, what would get you through your day in terms of EV range?
I think that's a very fair question. I think people would be surprised how real this actually was. Talking there, I was looking at you and the car was veering off, but then it kind of did the torque steer thing back on the lane key to get around this Volkswagen here. Let's chase the Prius now. Maybe we can race the Porsche. Anyway, I think people would be surprised at how little range they can get away with. But I still would like to see the answer to the question. So, you now have 3 questions in front of you. Question number 1 is, would you be willing to trade range for a sunroof? Question number 1. Question number 2, how much would you be willing to pay, or would you be willing to pay extra for a head-up display and or electric seats?
Mm-hmm.
And question number 3
was your ideal battery range. What is that magic number that it would take to get you to park your gas car and buy an EV?
Cool. Let us know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all in word, MotoManTV all in word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you guys with 2 things. Number 1, make sure you download our fancy new mobile application, which you can download for free from Apple iTunes and Google Play. And I'd like to point out, it works, did you know this, Shad? It works natively with Android Auto, meaning
it does.
We are the only app, we are the first app outside of the Google-blessed apps that works natively inside of Android Auto. So we have a podcast now. There's going to be more podcasts coming, and you can work directly in Android Auto from the app.
Very savvy.
Only one.
Very savvy.
And then number 2, a big thank you for Shad to join us. And if you have questions directly of Shad, how can they reach you again?
At Shad Balch on Twitter.
On Twitter. And actually, he's very good about answering.
I love it.
Yes. And with that, I think we're going to watch some planes land here and see what's going on. And then we can look at this is Dockweiler State Beach. So a little bit of more tourism as we get back to the space. So we're gonna we'll go In-N-Out Burgers. Like
yes.
Let these suckers go do whatever they got to do.
We're gonna do what we do in Southern California.
Exactly. Okay, guys. See you later.